Welcome to the Brandwise podcast, where we talk about the big branding moves that business owners are making and the why behind it. I'm your host, Jess Freeman, here to help you be wise and be bold. Today, I want to share a few takeaways from a conversation I had with Steve Kennedy, the head of marketing at Noodles and Company, which, if you're not familiar, is a restaurant that is all about noodles. And they recently went through a huge rebrand, not just like a new look, a new logo, woohoo, but like a full shift in how they show up. Now, I know what you're thinking. Cool, Jess, but I don't have a corporate marketing team or $1 million budget. And that's why I'm not dropping the full interview. You're going to hear snippets of it, but I wanted to talk you through what really matters for you, whether you're running a private practice, an online coaching business, or maybe you're a local practitioner who serves your community, because I think there are little pieces that you can steal or borrow from Noodles and Company, adapt it, and use it in your business right now. So let's get into it. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is Noodles and Company wasn't struggling to get their name out there. People knew who they were, but that wasn't really translating to people walking in the door. And that is a very good reminder that just being known isn't enough. You have to stay relevant. And we know that because how many people have you heard that they're like, I have 20,000 Instagram followers or 3,000 people on my email list, but I'm not really getting sales. And some of you have been in business a while. You've built a solid reputation. You've got some loyal clients, and that's amazing. But it is very easy to lean on that recognition and assume it will just carry you. And that's not always going to be the case, especially with the way that our economy and our culture has really shifted in the last few years. So the question is, does your brand still reflect who you are and where your people are and what people need from you right now?
Yeah, look, I think, if I wind back to, COVID, right? Everything is kind of before and after COVID, which is the way the world works.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The world changed a lot coming out of COVID, right? Consumer behaviors changed, market pressures changed, the competitive landscape changed, and so on. And, I kind of think about it as it's a bit of like if you're running a 5K or running a race, right? Like if you're not up at the front when the race starts, then there's this period of time where you cross over the time starter, but you're not able to run yet. You're still kind of in the middle of the pack, and but your time's adding up, and you fall a little bit behind, and then you got to make up for it. I think coming out of COVID, we got caught a bit further in that pack, and we need a bit of extra energy to really kind of catch up, get up to that front and run our race. And so I think we took a hard look at our ability to win with consumers where we were at. We really concluded that our equity had slipped, coming out of COVID a bit. We had decent awareness, as you mentioned. We've been around for 30 years. We're not a spring chicken. We're not a new brand. But so we have decent awareness in the markets that we're at, but we really needed to drive home our brand relevance. Like, what was the thing that made us matter? What was the thing that made us different? And then when you look at consumers, we saw guests seeking elevated dining experiences in that fast casual space. And so ultimately we responded by, introducing a new menu that delivers on all of the taste and quality and variety that would be expected from a brand that should be the authority in all things noodles, because that's what we do. And so I think that was a hard look at, internally to say, like, we've got to make a change. And we needed to do it on all fronts, from brand to operations and to the menu, of course.
Again, think about how much the world has changed in the past few years. The way that we eat and train and shop has all changed. If you haven't checked in on how your business is showing up lately, this might be the time to do it. I mean, maybe your services are solid, but the way you're talking about them needs a little update. Or maybe you're still answering like old problems when your audience has really moved on to a different problem. So I want you to sit and think about what's one way you can maybe refresh your positioning this quarter. Like, test out some new messaging just on social media. It doesn't mean you have to go revamp your entire website with this new positioning, but like, test it out on social media first. Another thing I loved about what Steve said, before they made all these changes final, they actually talked to their customers. But the lesson here isn't just like ask your audience. We know that. It's knowing how to filter feedback without becoming paralyzed by it. They didn't just blindly follow every opinion. They tested things, they paid attention, and they used feedback to guide them.
It's marketing cliche to say, well, we put the consumer at the middle of what we do, right? But, honestly, that's what we had to do, right? And we do work with a lot of research partners. We work with SMG as an example. We gathered a couple 100,000 responses on what they thought about our food and our experience and our service and everything else. And really internalize the feedback that we were getting. And, to your point, there's a time to make a change, and that those insights shed a lot of light on what we needed to change. To your point, though, there was always a bit of a who moved my cheese crowd where they're going to be upset if you change that dish. And, to me, that's actually a good sign. If you've got people that are passionate enough about what they're eating, what they're getting from you, what they're eating at your establishment, that they're really upset that you've changed it, then that's great because you have passionate customers, right? And so from there, it's really about making sure you're confident in your product development process and the research that you've done and the improvements that you're making, that they are ultimately an improvement in the experience. A lot of the work that we did, this wasn't a cost optimization, take sauce out, take cheese out, shorten some ingredients, shrinkflation kind of way of changing the menu. This was a cultivated effort to improve the menu and improve the dishes that we're bringing to consumers. And so I think being confident in what we've done is actually an improvement, is how we communicate that out to folks. And so there will always be a few folks that are just like, I like the perfect amount of sauce and you've added more or something like that, right? And you're not going to be able to please everybody, but knowing that you've made improvements and you've created a better customer experience because you've got the data and you've got the insights and the testing all in the process is how you kind of navigate that feedback. Because you are always going to get, first and foremost, the moment you change something, first comment within social and inevitably is going to be like, you should have never touched the whatever thing I order all the time.
So again, that feedback was a guide. It wasn't set in stone. And we are very familiar with this because we've all raised our prices and someone bails and, cancels working with us or doesn't want to re-sign up. You tweak your program and a couple of clients question it. This doesn't mean you're wrong, though, especially if these changes are making you feel more confident with how you are serving your clients or more aligned with your lifestyle or your values, whatever it is. If it's better for you, then you're not wrong. But you're never going to make everyone happy. We know that. But you can listen, look at the patterns, and really trust yourself to make the right call. If you're trying something new, just pilot it with a few people. Like, watch how they respond, get their feedback, and tweak from there. The next thing that we talked about was messaging. And I know that so many health professionals play it safe with their messaging. We hear stuff like supporting your health journey or helping you feel your best. It sounds nice, but what does that mean? Noodles & Co. didn't want to blend in, so they got specific and they stopped trying to be everything to everyone and doubled down on the thing that made them different. Noodles. Just noodles.
It's not that we don't focus on the benefits that customers get from eating.
Right.
So we're actually very intentional about that, understanding and communicating those benefits, like you mentioned, right? We can bring people together, we can provide comfort, right? We're intentional about communicating those benefits. But that said, I can write an ad about providing a comforting and nourishing meal for the whole family that you can gather around, and I can replace my brand with about 27 other brands. Mm-hmm. Right? That could be anything from a hot chocolate brand to a chocolate bar brand to a different QSR restaurant. Right. And so for me, I believe you really need to find the element that is uniquely ownable to your brand and then tie that to the benefit that it provides to customers and then communicate that in a relevant way to start to drive that brand relevance that I talked about earlier. And so we've really chosen to lean on that, on our equity, and push that kind of noodle-centric messaging, if you will, which focuses on our unique ability to deliver kind of that delicious, high-quality, innovative noodle dishes with the variety that we bring, because that's what we do. Like, we've been doing it for 30 years. Like, and there's this level of kind of expertise that happens within a Noodles, which even I, like, when I'm being new to the brand not that long ago and spending time in a restaurant, I was like, I had no idea that we prep 10 plus noodles every morning. Why? Because we're very intentional about type of noodle and how it holds a sauce and how it mixes with the right dish, right? So that expertise, or the fact that we've got a row of saute pans in the back that are freshly fired up and making these dishes that I even as a customer had no idea, right? And so as you think about the benefits that it provides, to your point, provides that nourishment and enables the family to gather around and things like that. But what do we do that's ownable and unique in the way that we deliver those benefits? And that's what comes through that messaging approach.
This is the perfect example of, you don't have to do something wildly unique to stand out. You just have to do something clearly. Maybe it's the way that you build out meal plans for your niche, or maybe it's your focus on like gut health and strength training, or maybe it's how you explain macros in a way that finally clicks with your audience. Whatever the thing is, lean into it, talk about it, name it, build it into your content. Because if you don't highlight it and highlight what makes you different, no one else is. So stop trying to sound like everyone else and instead ask yourself, what's something small that I do that others don't? And what would my best clients say about me that maybe a stranger wouldn't know? And what in your process or your method or your program, whatever it is, what's something that's ownable that you can really highlight? Now, moving on, usually mac and cheese isn't, the star of the show unless you have a toddler in your house like me. It's a side dish typically, but Noodles and Company realized that their mac and cheese was a hit. People loved it. So they stopped hiding it, in the corner of the menu, and they really made it a headline.
Mac and cheese has and always will be a core component of our menu, right? It is, our most popular dish, and we think about it differently, right? And so when we look at the competitive landscape, the competitive macaroni landscape, sounds odd to say that, but competitive macaroni landscape, and mac and cheese is commonly treated as like an add-on, a side, an offering that restaurants have for just a picky kid. Like, well, you can, also get the mac and cheese for your kid. And we don't think about it that way, right? Mac in the industry is more of a bit part player, and like for us, it's got main character energy, right? Like this is what we do. And so last year we started testing a whole lineup of specialty mac and cheese dishes, because the one thing about mac and cheese is there's oftentimes not one perfect macaroni and cheese. There's a lot of opinions about what makes a macaroni and cheese, and there's a mac and cheese that's great for kids, right? But then there's, a lot of adults out there that love macaroni and cheese, and there's a little bit of kidulting into it or something, or, nostalgia that comes from eating mac and cheese, and dialing it up a little bit for that crowd is also important. And so we tested a whole lineup of, concepted a bunch of different ideas, and ultimately landed on, a standard, Wisconsin mac and cheese that we had, and we upgraded that to more of a kind of creamy cheddar mac, which is just a huge crowd favorite, but then evolved it, right? We now have a buffalo chicken mac, and we have a garlic bacon crunch mac, and then a pulled pork barbecue mac, right? And so these are, all kind of hitting for different customers in different ways. And so for us, it's about, and going back to your point on like, what's the advice, right? I think it's like, understand the role that your core product plays in your kind of overall portfolio, but then understand how it plays in the category, right? And then what do you do with it that's different? And like I said, for us, Mac's not a side. It's not a bit part player. It needs to have main character energy, and that's what we try to bring to it.
So think about what that looks like in your business. What's the offer that your clients always rave about? The thing that people DM you about, the service that keeps getting referrals. Is that offer front and center on your website? Are you talking about it in your social media posts pretty frequently? Do people who land on your Instagram for the first time even know that this offer exists? Or do they have to scroll and wait 2 weeks for you to mention it? You probably don't need 5 new offers. You just need to shine a bigger light on the one that's already working. And lastly, something Steve shared that really stuck with me was how he talked about the internal energy that this project created. Because when your brand is clear, your team shows up differently. And even if it's just you, you can show up differently too.
You know, in terms of what was surprising, and for me, I think what worked better than expected, I would say the amount of energy that this kind of transformation effort brought to our team members in the restaurants. You know, because oftentimes as the marketing person, you're like thinking customer insights and you're thinking, how do I position this for customers? And you know, that's generally where the focus falls. And I think the internal juice that this whole thing brought was really a pleasant surprise for me, being new, I think newer to the organization. And so when we created this whole campaign, you saw the team members and the franchisees go, yes, yeah, that is what we do. This is what we know, right? And tell our story, right? Show our craft, right? And their excitement around the work and the position and the products, right? The pride they take in serving these new dishes, the excitement they have to tell people when they come into the restaurants, like you can see it on their face. And to me, that was just super energizing. And that was a bit surprising to me to see how much internal juice that we got from all of this, which is really exciting, because that not only does it, you know, obviously happy team members make for a good business, because, you know, it creates a better customer experience.
Again, even if it's just you, that shift in your energy still matters. When your brand reflects what you're really about, when it finally feels aligned, you show up differently. Your content gets easier to write, your conversations feel less salesy, you stop second guessing yourself all the time. Sometimes the biggest change isn't how your business looks, it's how you feel about sharing it. It's about really reflecting who you are. And I talked about this with my own rebrand experience back in episode 26, if you want to go back and listen. And honestly, there are several rebrand stories that I have shared here on the podcast. And I'm pretty sure almost every single person mentioned that after their rebrand and after they, got clear on their message, it really shifted how they show up online. To wrap up, yes, Noodles & Company has a big team and a very large budget, but the really core lessons here are simple. Relevance is a moving target, not a fixed state. Feedback should inform you, not shake you. Your message needs to be as unique as your approach, and that your best offer deserves the spotlight, not being hidden at the bottom of a sales page. And lastly, that your team, even if it's just you, deserves to feel proud of the brand that they show up for. You deserve to feel so proud and accomplished. If you want to check out the new menu or learn more about what Noodles & Company has done, I will drop the link to their website in the show notes. But thank y'all for listening, and I will see y'all back here next week. If today's branding story inspired you and you're ready to start your own rebrand adventure, head over to justcreatives.com/rebrand to explore how we can work together on your brand. If you enjoyed today's show, be sure to leave a review or share it on Instagram, and tune in next week for another episode.